I used to be cute for my boyfriend, sent silly texts, left notes in his jacket, called just to say I missed him. He said it was too much. So I stopped. No more surprises, no more softness. Now he says I've changed. I haven't. I just finally matched his energy, and he doesn't like the silence. Before we begin, please like, subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. Let's all be internet friends. I used to love making him smile. Sticky notes tucked into his coat pocket, memes in the middle of the day. Banana bread left in his car with a dumb pun sharpied onto the foil. You make life appealing. He didn't ask for it. That was the point. It wasn't about reaction. It was about joy. Mine, mostly. Loving him felt light then. Like I'd finally found someone I could give everything soft to without having to explain why softness mattered. I'd call just to say I missed him. He'd laugh low and slow and say, "You're cute." And I leaned into it. I left voice notes when he had bad days. Took the long way home just to pick up his favorite snacks. Hid little notes in his shoes, his notebooks, his cereal box once, just to make him pause and smile. Bria used to say I was feeding a man emotionally like he'd never been fed before. I told her that was a good thing. She said, just make sure he knows the difference between being full and being fed. Back then, I didn't get it, because Ethan made it easy. He kissed my forehead in public, let me play my annoying playlists in the car. Rolled his eyes, but he still listened. And when I said, "You feel like home," he pulled me in tighter. He didn't always say much, but I never thought silence would become his whole vocabulary. He said it was too much. We were in the kitchen. I had just handed him a lunch I'd packed, sandwich, chips, a little sticky note on top that said, "Go be amazing." He opened it, glanced at the note, then sighed. "You really don't have to do all this," he said. I laughed, a little unsure. "Do what?" "This," he said, gesturing vaguely. "The notes, the surprises, I mean it's sweet, but it's a lot. You don't need to try so hard. Just relax." I nodded slowly, tried to smile. "I like doing it." "Yeah, but we're already good, right?" he said. "You don't have to prove anything." I stood there, still holding the lunch bag he hadn't taken yet. Something tightened in my chest. Not pain exactly, just that quiet flicker of doubt that makes you second-guess something that once felt natural. "I wasn't proving anything," I said. He shrugged, grabbed his keys. "I'm just saying you don't have to keep doing all this cute stuff. I'm not going anywhere." That was the part that stung the most. Cute stuff, like it was trivial, like it wasn't the way I loved. He kissed my cheek on the way out. I didn't lean in, and when the door closed, I looked down at the note in my hand. It wasn't for him anymore. Not really. I just didn't know that yet. Bria wasn't amused. She came over that night with Thai food and too much energy, kicking off her shoes before I could ask, dropping her bag and flopping onto my couch like she paid rent. "I made him lunch," I said, with a note. She grinned. "Classic Tessa." I nodded. He said it was too much. She stopped mid-bite. "Too much what?" "Just too much," I said, softer. Bria set down her container. "Girl, he's out here getting Michelin-starred affection and complaining about the plating." I smiled, but it didn't reach. She studied me. "You okay?" He said I don't need to try so hard, that he's not going anywhere. Bria rolled her eyes. "Of course he's not. You've been carrying the whole emotional weight of the relationship on your back. Where would he go? To someone who expects him to participate." I shook my head. "It's not like that, he's just not expressive." "Then let him miss it," she said. "Let him feel the space where your effort used to be." "I don't want to punish him." Bria leaned in. "It's not punishment, it's math. You're giving 90%. He's giving 10, that's not love, that's imbalance." I stayed quiet. She reached for her food again. "Pull back, not to be petty, to be fair, if he doesn't notice." "That's your answer." I laughed once low. "He'll notice." Bria didn't look up. "Good, then let him decide what to do about it." Ivy called it labor. We were sitting in the break room, lunch half eaten, me scrolling through my phone like the texts I hadn't received were just running late. I had sent Ethan 3 that morning, one about the dream I had, one with a photo of the ridiculous squirrel outside my apartment, and one asking if he wanted dinner later. He hadn't answered. Ivy was watching me. She always did that, like she was measuring the weight of my silence. "You triple texted him again, didn't you?" I didn't look up. "It's fine, he's probably just busy." "Do you always rationalize his bare minimum?" I sighed. He's just not a phone person. She shook her head. Tessa, you're out here writing poetry, running a one-woman show, doing emotional backflips, and for what? A K and a thumbs up 3 hours later. I smiled a little bitter. I like doing thoughtful things. So do I, she said, but not for someone who doesn't notice. Not for someone who acts like affection is a tax. I put down my phone, she leaned in. What you're doing isn't just thoughtful. It's labor, unpaid, invisible labor. You're feeding a man who's full and still acting like he's starving. I didn't respond, because I knew what she meant. And maybe I was starting to realize I wasn't being generous anymore. I was being drained, and love that costs you your light, that's not a gift, that's debt. I kept trying anyway. Because part of me believed he just didn't know how to love out loud, that maybe he needed examples. That if I stayed soft long enough, he'd learn to meet me there. So I planned a dinner, nothing wild. Just pasta, wine, the candle he said once made the apartment smell like calm. I wore the green dress he liked. Played the playlist we made on our third date. He was supposed to be home by 7. At 7:30, I texted, still good for tonight? At 8, I called, straight to voicemail. At 8:15, he walked in, keys jingling, phone in hand, backpack still on. Smells good in here, he said. I smiled. You forgot. He blinked. About what? I gestured to the table, the dinner. He looked at it like it was a quiz. Oh. Right, sorry, work ran long. I nodded, I texted. He shrugged, phone died. No apology, no acknowledgement of the effort. Just unbothered calm that made me feel dramatic for hoping he'd noticed. We sat down. He ate like it was just another Tuesday. When I brought out the dessert, that stupid frozen pie he once said reminded him of childhood, he said, "You didn't have to do all this." That was it, no thank you, no smile, just that. You didn't have to, and maybe he was right, because love isn't a performance, and I was starting to forget who I was doing it for. The breaking point was small. I said, I love you. Quietly at the end of a long day. No strings, no setup. Just soft, honest, he was brushing his teeth. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, hair damp from the shower. The bathroom light buzzed faintly. I said it like a reflex, like breathing. I love you. He didn't stop brushing, just glanced at me in the mirror and said, toothpaste muffling the words, "You're sweet." That was it, not "I love you too." Not even a nod. Just a smile that didn't reach his eyes, a rinse of the sink, and the click of the bathroom door behind him. I stood there for a long time. Later that night, while he scrolled through his phone and I lay beside him staring at the ceiling, I thought about all the notes I'd left that week. The one in his jacket pocket that said, "You got this." The one in the fridge tucked behind the orange juice that said, "Proud of you today." And the one he never found under his pillow, the one that said, "Thank you for staying." I got up, took them all out of my drawer, every blank note card, every pen. I tucked them into a box in the back of my closet, not out of anger, but because love wasn't supposed to echo. And mine had been bouncing off the walls for months with no reply. I went cold quietly. No announcement, no dramatics, just less. No more good morning texts before he woke up, no more little gifts when he had a long day. No checking his calendar to remind him of things he always forgot. I didn't call him on my lunch break. Didn't leave sticky notes on the counter with dumb puns. Didn't send him songs I thought he'd like. I didn't stop loving him. I just stopped giving it away like it wouldn't be missed. He didn't notice at first. He still kissed me goodnight. Still slept facing away. Still asked what was for dinner without asking how I was. A week passed. He didn't mention the silence. Didn't ask where the notes had gone. Didn't say anything when I stopped sitting next to him on the couch, choosing the far end instead, like maybe space could speak louder than my voice ever had. Bria texted, "You okay?" I replied, "I'm just tired." It wasn't a lie. Ivy asked if we were still together. I nodded. But inside, I wasn't sure what together meant anymore if I was the only one doing the stitching. One night he came home, tossed his keys and said, "You didn't make rice." I looked at him, I didn't cook. He blinked, oh. That was all, no ask, no fight, just two people living parallel. And suddenly the silence didn't feel cruel. It felt fair. He started asking if I was mad. It took him 10 days, 10 days of short answers, muted reactions, no exclamation points in my texts, no unprompted affection. just matching his energy, steady, quiet, uninterested. We were in the car when he finally looked over and said, "Are you mad at me or something?" I shrugged, no. He glanced at me, then back at the road. "You've been weird." I nodded. "Okay." A beat of silence, then, "Is this about something?" I kept my eyes out the window. "I'm just matching your energy." He laughed, but it was tight. "What does that mean?" "It means I stopped doing more than you." He didn't respond right away, just gripped the steering wheel tighter. "So this is some kind of protest." I turned toward him. "No, it's alignment." He scoffed, "That's petty." I smiled small and hollow, so as forgetting to say, "I love you" for 6 weeks. He opened his mouth, closed it again. "You're being dramatic." I didn't answer, because he wasn't asking to understand, he was asking to win. And I was done playing games where the prize was basic decency. He dropped me off at my apartment without another word. When I got inside, I stared at my phone for a long time. He didn't text. Neither did I. Because when you stop giving more than you get, people mistake it for change. But really, it's just clarity. Bria called it a shift. We were sitting in the back booth at our usual cafe, 2 coffees between us, 3 hours of honesty in our eyes. I hadn't said much, just stirred cream into my drink and let the silence stretch. Then she said it. "This is the version of you that survived him." I looked up, she didn't flinch. "I used to see you glow, you used to be sparkly, effortless." "Light," she sipped. "Now you look like someone who tiptoes around herself." I didn't argue, I couldn't. "I'm not mad at you," she added. "I just hate that you started rationing joy because he made it feel excessive." I nodded slowly. "I miss it too." "Him." I shook my head. "No, the way I used to feel when love wasn't something I had to justify." Bria leaned back. "So don't go looking for that feeling in a place that punished it." I looked down at my cup. I thought being thoughtful was my thing. It made me happy. "Yeah," she said, "until it started making you feel small." We sat in silence after that. A good kind. The kind where nothing needs to be said, but everything's understood. When we left, she squeezed my hand. And that night, when I got home to an empty apartment and no missed calls from Ethan, I didn't feel sad. I felt still. And that stillness, it felt like healing. Ethan tried to reignite things. It started with a good morning text. "Good morning, love emoji." The heart was red, not his usual thumbs up, not a dry GM, just that. A single sentence with a softness he hadn't reached for in months. I stared at it for 5 hours before I responded. "Hope your day's fine." No punctuation, no emoji, just flat, returned energy, nothing more. Then came the flowers, daisies, my favorite. Wrapped in brown paper, left on my doorstep like a peace offering. No note, just the same silence he used to give me when I'd leave love in his jacket pockets and get a shrug in return. He used to say flowers were pointless. "They just die," he'd said once. I remember laughing, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. Now he remembered the kind I liked. I brought them inside, didn't bother finding a vase. Just dropped them into a tall glass and set them on the counter. They leaned awkwardly, too tall for the cup. I didn't fix them. That night, he called. "I was thinking maybe we could do dinner this week," he said. "I'm busy," I replied. He hesitated. "Another night then." "I'll let you know." I didn't. 3 days later, he showed up at my door. No warning. Just standing there with a white plastic bag from that noodle place I loved, sesame noodles. I could smell it before he said a word. I thought we could eat together, like old times. I opened the door halfway, took the bag, "Thanks." He smiled tight, hopeful. "You look nice." I nodded, "You too." He lingered like he expected more. I didn't offer it. After a beat, he said, "Okay, well, let me know." I closed the door without another word. Sat on the floor, ate cold noodles, stared at the daisies drooping in the glass. He was doing the things now, the ones I used to give so freely. But it's hard to feel special when love becomes a strategy. He didn't miss me. He missed what I made easy. He asked if I still loved him. It was a Tuesday, over text. "Do you still love me?" No context, no hello, no build-up. Just that. I read it 3 times before answering. "Why?" I typed, then paused, backspaced. Typed again, "Would it change anything if I did?" He replied, "Of course it would." I stared at that for a long time, because of course it wouldn't. If love had changed anything, we wouldn't be here. If love had been enough to make him show up, protect softness, hold space, I wouldn't have had to harden. When I didn't answer, he called. I picked up. "Hey," he said. His voice was careful. That version of him only came out when he felt something slipping. "I've just been thinking about us, about how quiet it's gotten." I stayed silent. He continued. "I know I pushed you away. I just didn't think it would stick." I finally spoke. "That's the thing about silence, Ethan, it echoes. You just weren't listening until it was your own." He didn't say anything. I didn't fill the space. Eventually he said, "So, you don't love me anymore." I looked at the flowers still drooping in the cup. At the sticky note he'd left on my door the day before with a wobbly heart drawn at the bottom. At all the things I used to do without needing to be asked. "I think," I said softly, "you miss who I was when I loved you out loud." He brought up the notes. We were sitting in his apartment, awkward dinner between us, pizza neither of us really wanted, wine we weren't sipping. The TV was on but muted. Out of nowhere, he said, "You used to leave notes." I didn't answer. "You'd put them in my coat," he added, "on the bathroom mirror. That one time you stuck one on my steering wheel and it just said, 'I believe in you.'" I don't even remember what I was going through. But that note hit me. I kept my eyes on the crust in my hand. He said, "I miss that." I looked at him, finally. "What exactly do you miss, Ethan? The notes, or the version of me that wrote them even when you didn't say thank you?" He blinked. I set the crust down. "You want the perks of love, not the responsibility of receiving it." He frowned. "That's not fair." "No," I said, voice calm. "What's not fair is how I was soft for so long, and you made me feel silly for it. Now you want it back like you're entitled to the part of me you exhausted." He rubbed his jaw. "You used to be sweet." I tilted my head. "You used to protect that part of me." His mouth opened, then closed. And in that quiet, I saw it clearly. He didn't miss me. He missed being loved unconditionally. Noah told him the truth. I wasn't there when it happened, but I heard about it later, the way you always hear about the moments people finally get told what no one else had the guts to say. It was late. Ethan had just come back from dropping off flowers I hadn't asked for. Again. According to Bria, he was pacing the living room, frustrated, saying things like, "She's cold now." She didn't used to be like this. Noah was sitting on the couch, controller in hand, game paused. He let Ethan rant for a while. Then he said, "She didn't change, you did." Ethan scoffed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "You used to smile when she texted," Noah said. "You'd read her notes out loud. You'd brag about the stuff she did for you like you didn't believe someone could care that much." Ethan was quiet. Noah kept going. "Then you got used to it, started treating it like background noise. You didn't thank her, you didn't give it back, you just took, and she kept giving until it broke her a little." Ethan sat down. Noah looked at him. "I watched her get smaller. I watched you not notice. That was it, simple, honest, brutal. I found out from Bria. She said Noah hadn't told anyone he'd say something, just couldn't hold it in anymore. I didn't text Ethan after that. I just sat with the ache of being seen too late. He called Bria behind my back. She told me the next day, voice sharp, clipped, the way she always sounded when she was forcing herself to stay polite. "He asked what he should do," she said, pacing in my kitchen. "Like I was going to hand him a cheat code to get you back." I closed the fridge, leaned against it. "What did you say?" Bria stopped moving. I said start by apologizing, and this time mean it. I stayed quiet, she added. "I told him to stop trying to win you, to stop performing." I raised an eyebrow. Did he listen? She snorted. "He said, but I'm doing all the things now." And I said, "Then you should have done them when she still had her arms open." I laughed just once, bitter. Bria walked over. "You want to know the worst part?" I nodded. "He asked me if this was just a phase, if you were going through something." My stomach turned. "He still doesn't get it." "Nope," she said, "because men like him think softness is infinite. That you'll always go back to who you were because you loved them that way once." I wrapped my arms around myself. "I don't even know if I want him to get it." She looked at me. "You don't, you want peace. You just wish he hadn't made you fight for it." I nodded because that was the truth. He came with a letter, 4 pages. Folded once, sealed in a plain white envelope with my name written in ink. My full name, not the nickname he used to tease me with when things were easy. He didn't text first, didn't call, just knocked. Quiet, 2 times. When I opened the door, he didn't try to come in, he just held out the envelope. "No expectations," he said. "Just wanted you to have this." I took it without a word, closed the door, let the silence swallow him on the other side. I didn't read it right away. I stared at the envelope for hours, like it might disappear if I waited long enough. When I finally opened it, the handwriting surprised me. Neat, slower than he usually wrote, like every word had been reconsidered. The first line said, "This isn't about winning you back. It's about showing up for the damage I caused." The rest followed. He listed the small things he'd dismissed, the notes, the check-ins, the dinners, the pauses I took between words, hoping he'd fill them with something kind. He admitted to letting my love carry everything. He said, "I treated your affection like wallpaper, nice to have, but easy to ignore until it's gone." By the end of page 4, he didn't ask for a second chance. He just said, "You deserved better. If I ever get to try again, it'll be because I learned how to be better, not because you softened first." I read it twice, once like it might fix something, again like it never could. The words were good. Thoughtful, honest. He used phrases I'd waited months to hear. "I took you for granted. I made your softness a burden. I didn't see you shrinking until you disappeared. But truth without pattern is a performance, so I waited." Didn't text him, didn't praise him for emotional literacy he'd only found once I'd stopped handing him the script. 3 days passed, then 4, no follow-up, no pressure, no dramatics, just space. And in that space, I found the part of me that no longer flinched at kindness, but didn't confuse it for repair either. When he finally called, I answered. He asked, "Did you read it?" I did. A pause. "And I'm not going to applaud you for reflection," I said. "Not yet." He was quiet. I continued. "Change isn't about regret. It's about pattern, about consistency, about showing up when there's nothing to gain." He exhaled. "I understand. I'm not saying no," I said, "but I'm not saying yes to an apology. I've heard too many of those." Another pause. "Then what are you saying?" "I'm saying this isn't about what you feel. It's about what you do." And for the first time, he didn't try to defend himself. He just said, "Okay." I hung up, not because I was finished, but because I'd finally started to mean it when I said, "I'll let your actions speak next." He started showing up, not with grand gestures, not with speeches, just quietly, thoughtfully, without asking for credit. He started leaving me notes, not poetic, not dramatic, just simple things. "Hope today isn't too heavy. Got your coffee right. I'm learning." He'd tape them to my door, slide them into my book when I wasn't looking. Once, I found one tucked into the crook of my windshield wiper on a rainy morning. Just one word in all caps, "trying." He brought coffee the way I like it now, with cinnamon, no sugar, 1 ice cube if it's hot out. No asking, just remembering. He'd offer rides but didn't pout when I said no. He started asking questions instead of reacting. "What's your week look like? How's your energy today? Do you need space or presence?" I didn't rush back. We had dinner once. Nothing fancy. Takeout on the patio of a friend's apartment, 2 chairs pulled up near string lights. He didn't reach for my hand. Didn't ask what we were. He just passed me the soy sauce like nothing had to be labeled to be respected. I walked home alone, felt okay doing it. This wasn't love yet, not again, not really. It was observation. It was consistency. It was a man trying to rebuild a door he'd once closed, one small nail at a time. And for once, I didn't feel like I had to help him hold the hammer. His mom called me. I almost didn't pick up. The name flashing on my screen made my stomach twist. Lynn, always kind, always diplomatic. The kind of warmth that excused 1,000 cold silences from her son. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. I stood by the window, phone pressed to my ear like I could prepare myself. "I know it's not my place," she continued, "and you don't owe me anything. But I just wanted to say, I haven't seen Ethan like this in years." I didn't respond. She took that as permission to keep going. "He's quieter now. More thoughtful. He helped me fix the back steps last weekend and didn't complain once." She laughed, but it faded quickly. "He talks about you without trying to win you. That's new." I leaned my head against the glass. "He told me he's in therapy," she added. "Didn't say it to impress you. In fact, he didn't even tell you, did he?" "No," I said quietly. "He just went on his own." I think he finally got tired of hearing his own excuses. I swallowed. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because for the first time, I don't think he wants a second chance just to feel better about himself." I think he wants to be better, whether you come back or not. I closed my eyes, not because it changed everything, but because for once he was changing something without expecting a reward. I didn't take him back fully. Not yet. We started with dinner, then a walk, then another. No labels, no declarations, just pacing, careful, intentional. He didn't push, didn't ask when things would go back to normal. He just showed up when he said he would, listened when I spoke, laughed when it was earned, didn't flinch when I got quiet. The first time I reached for his hand again, he looked down at it like it was holy. I still kept my own place, still took time alone, still said no when I needed to, and he didn't turn that into a guilt trip. Just nodded, said, "Okay, I'll be here." One afternoon, I caught him rereading the letter he'd written me, sitting on the couch, flipping through it like he still needed to remember what he broke. He saw me watching and didn't hide it, just said, "I don't want to forget." I didn't reply, I didn't need to, because change didn't need applause. It just needed consistency. Bria saw us at a coffee shop once. Gave me a look, not judgment, not concern, just curiosity. I nodded once, soft, and she understood. I wasn't melting, I was observing. Letting love re-earn its access. Letting softness be something I gave from overflow, not obligation. He was patient. He was learning. And for once, I didn't feel like I had to perform to be loved. One morning, I left a note. Nothing elaborate. No inside jokes. No stickers. Just a square of paper, neatly placed on his kitchen counter beside his mug and the little jar of honey I'd reintroduced him to. "You don't have to earn me back. Just protect me next time." Beneath it, I drew a small, smiley face, just eyes and a curve. He found it before I left for work. I was slipping on my shoes when I heard the paper crinkle, then nothing for a long time. When I turned around, he was still standing there, holding it like it was made of something fragile. His lips parted. Tears welled up, but he didn't look away, didn't try to hide. I didn't cry, because I already knew this wasn't a reset. It wasn't a full return. It was a beginning, slow, steady, built from ruin. The kind that doesn't ask for fireworks, just care. He tucked the note into his wallet. Didn't say thank you, didn't say anything. He just looked at me like he finally understood. Softness isn't owed. It isn't endless. It isn't a default setting waiting to be taken for granted. It's a choice, a gift. And when someone finally chooses to protect it, you don't need speeches. You just breathe and begin again, this time on even ground. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you all.